Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man back for more subscriber questions. And like I said last week, I got a guest with me today. This is my best friend, Rune342.
Hi.
If you're newer and you haven't seen him before, he's been in a lot of videos with me. Did a lot of the co-ops like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Little Big Planet 2, Subspace Emissary, and he's going to be in a lot more in the future.
A couple more.
Yeah, well, far future.
Yeah.
All right. So our first question today is from Ridley Crade 187. If you had to add another male pronoun to the end of your name, what would it be? Fellow. Pizza Dude, Man Guy, Fellow.
That's getting... Well, it's already relatively long.
Okay, what if you had to add another number? Room 342.
0.
Room 3420. All right. Our next question today is from 8-Bit Die, who I don't think has ever asked a question before, so cool. Did the Smash 4 roster and how we got unexpected characters like the Wii Fit Trainer, Duck Hunt, and Cloud make you rethink about how unpredictable new characters are? And they go on to explain this. The short answer is yes. And this is a criticism I got when I first started making videos. It was like I was predicting characters through a pattern. It's like, oh, they're going to add important characters from these series. They added Diddy Kong last time, so now they'll add Dixie Kong. They added Samus before, so now they'll add Ridley. And I wasn't thinking about how a lot of the additions to the new game were instead like Rosalina and stuff like characters that were newer that came out. I thought they were going to keep adding like the big, long-running, important characters. So yeah, I completely rechanged how I thought about how new characters are added. The criticism I got before was that I was looking for patterns in a series that only had 3 games so far. That's not enough to establish patterns.
In fact, in a roster critique, you had mentioned how little sense it made for Wii Fit Trainer.
Yes, that's correct.
So very long ago.
Yes. So yes, the short answer is yes. My thinking's completely changed on how characters are added in Smash Brothers.
And I didn't try and guess at them at all. I was pleasantly surprised by the additions.
Yeah. Musamania27 asks, what is your opinion on the Sonic series? Do you agree with the hate it receives, or do you think the negativity is just overreaction? I think the negativity is overreaction, but I think it comes from a place that is warranted.
There are a few disappointing games in the Sonic series. 06 was very glitchy. Unleashed was not what people wanted. So people see the bad things and ignore the good ones.
Right, you gotta think about what's come out, from the Sonic timeline. We had the original games, which are the original games. Then we had Adventure and Adventure 2, which is like, okay, here's our 3D Sonics, we're introducing more characters that are playable, that have different play styles. Then after Sonic Adventure 2, we got a lot of stuff that just, I think people weren't expecting to be the next steps. We got Unleashed, where you turn into a werewolf. We got Shadow the Hedgehog, where you're using guns, which was not a bad game. It's
kind of like the jump where Mario went to Galaxy. It's like, here's a big jump, here's a whole bunch of new mechanics, and that worked for them. Sonic tried, it's like, okay, what if we add a combat element, or what if we add a thing about Shadow? And they just didn't go in the step that fans wanted.
And then when you get things like Sonic 06 thrown into there, obviously that's going to cause a negative reaction.
Where it's a game similar to Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, where people like those, but it's just not good.
But now it feels like people will jump on Sonic games right away because they're Sonic games, and a lot of times will overlook the good ones, like Sonic Colors. Like, people are like, yeah, that's good, and then that was all was said about it. It didn't get like a bunch of like, wow, everyone go play this Sonic game because it's another good one. It was just kind of like, oh, it's there.
It's not as fun to talk about what's good about a Sonic game as it is to just rile up everyone who says something bad about a Sonic game.
In fact, we were kind of talking about, we think that maybe Sonic Boom, not necessarily was intentionally bad, but that like Sega outsourced it to somebody to be like, yeah, make a Sonic game. Oh, those redesigns? Yeah, those look good. Just so that it would get more fan attention.
And then they can come out with the next one that rubber bands back to the good side.
Yeah, that's just a prediction. I have no idea if it has any basis whatsoever. All right. Nathaniel Best asks, did Rosie ever come up with her equivalent to your Pizza Dude Man guy? She doesn't want one. She doesn't want one.
People have their own usernames.
She doesn't want to just become Pizza Woman, girl,
just
do that.
The person attached to you.
Right, she doesn't want to just be the female attached to me. She wants to do her own thing. And I completely respect that. It's kind of like when Nostalgia Chick quit being Nostalgia Chick. She didn't just want to be the female nostalgia critic.
Right.
It's completely reasonable. You want to make your own name. Big Boss Man 538 asks, would you be in favor of MVC3 style conversations between characters in future Smash Brothers games? I like the concept, but the problem is so many of the Nintendo characters are silent protagonists. I wouldn't want to see Mario and Link banter. Unless they were just like, yeah! You know, something like that. But like, if characters like Fox did it, or a Snake did it if he came back, that'd be kind of funny.
But again, most of them don't interact, and most of them don't talk. What are you going to have? Pikachu. Yeah!
But,
good.
So, conceptually, I've always liked fighter introductions like that. I just don't think it fits Super Smash Brothers.
No.
Cash Harvey asks, if you were to bring back your Phoenix Wright dubbed series, what would you change to make it better or keep it alive? The big problem with the Phoenix Wright series was the way that we filmed it. Back then, it was before I had any of my really good equipment that I have now. Like, I have a good audio equipment, I have a good video editor, I have a good microphone. So all we were doing is we were recording all the dialogue through movies. We were, like, recording through, like, iMovie, so it would capture audio and video, and that made all that dialogue, all those file sizes so large, my computer couldn't handle them. And then I had no way of editing because my computer would just crash rapidly, and it would take like 12 hours to edit a single episode.
Also, instead of having a fancy mic, you were just recording with your computer's onboard microphone.
Which was not a bad microphone.
So it was sometimes up to 6 of us crowding around a small computer trying to talk into the mic well enough.
If I tried to do Phoenix Wright dubbed again, I think it would go better just because we have better equipment for it.
Yep.
And also, since I can record my own stuff, because before I just, with permission, I borrowed another guy's Phoenix Wright footage, but sometimes it went faster than I wanted. I had to speed the dialogue up. I could record my own Phoenix Wright video footage now and just go at the right speed that we want to go.
Just make a Phoenix Wright fan dub, because there's an anime about it now.
Or I could just do a Phoenix Wright LP, invite all the voice actors, and
just have them read the lines.
have them read the lines. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's
it'd be hard.
like,
a lot of those people we haven't talked to in years, so
it's like a Phoenix Wright audiobook in that case.
yeah. But there are some stuff that we missed out on, like
there were a lot of good people
we never
cast for
we never
characters.
got to the fifth case and Mike Meekins, but we had the perfect Mike Meekins, and it's too bad that never went up. I still do have all of that footage and data saved. It's just it's really hard to do anything with it.
It's just so much
Yeah.
data.
All right. Bobby Lopez asks, how would you feel if the next Smash game came along and there still wasn't a third Donkey Kong character added? I'd be upset. Because Donkey Kong's as big as any other series. It's long running, they keep making new games, and all we have is Donkey and Diddy. That's like if all they had for Mario was Mario and Luigi. Now, I know Donkey Kong's series is not as big as Mario, but we've seen more in total Star Fox and Kirby characters, and there's so many great unique Donkey Kong characters. I'd be pretty upset if they decided they were done with Donkey Kong.
Now, what if they only added characters that weren't represented in a series yet?
What do you mean?
They didn't add characters to Mario or Zelda or Kirby. They just added new things that aren't represented yet.
That'd be thematic. I wouldn't be upset by that. But like if they did add a new Mario, a new
if they're just
Pokemon, a new
specifically
Fire Emblem
excluding
character,
Donkey Kong.
yeah, I'd be upset. Yeah. All right. Macdokong asks, how have you tried to improve your content over the years, and have you reached a satisfying level of quality, or is there still improvements to be made? To answer the second question, I'm never going to stop improving. I want to keep getting better and doing better things.
You learn tricks just by doing it enough.
Now, I'm using the same capture card that I've always used, but when I was first starting, I was using my MacBook and
Its
onboard microphone. Now I have, the first thing was I changed my laptop, because my laptop got old, I had to replace it, so I got a new laptop. It's a Toshiba. I talked about this in earlier subscriber questions. I got a real microphone for it. It's a Blue Yeti, and I also got some new editing software. I got Sony Vegas, so a lot more professional stuff. Where I would like to go from here is I still don't do a great editing job with my audio levels. Like, I don't try to balance things out because it gets really difficult and tedious, and I just don't have enough time for it if I want to keep it as a daily series. Mm-hmm. So either finding a way to make that easier or finding more time to edit. Besides that, I mean, I could obviously get like big professional quality level microphones if I ever felt a need to.
Yeah, but this one seems to do just fine.
This one's fine. So I do want to improve, and I think my next step in improving is taking more time editing if I can find the time.
Mm-hmm.
Ultra Caden asks, if you could design a movie based off of any video game, what would it be? That's tricky because there's games I would like to see made into movies, but for me to direct it, it'd have to be a game that I know really well.
Right.
So I need a couple seconds to think about this one. Do you?
I would want to do a good Ezio Assassin's Creed movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they're doing an Assassin's Creed movie, but it sounds like, from what I've heard, is 60% outside of the Animus. So it's just all the real life world stuff, which sounds awful. Mm-hmm. But I played through those games a few times, and that's the movie I would most want to see.
Okay.
So I guess I want to see it done well. So if I could do it, I would at least try and do it well.
I thought of my answer. I would try to do a Mass Effect movie.
That would be hard.
Yes.
There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of stuff. So, I mean, the challenge would be, I think you would want to turn it into a trilogy. Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. But, like, you condense all of the events of those games down into a movie's length.
Which is, again, difficult.
That's the challenge, is like, what do you keep, what do you cut? And then the big thing is, obviously the appeal of Mass Effect is choice, and you can't do that in a movie.
Yeah,
so you have
people are going to be annoyed that their specific choices weren't in the movie.
Exactly. So what I would try to do is kind of do a blend, like some of the Paragon choices and some of the Renegade choices. I'd probably ultimately make it a more protagonist-y Good Shepherd, but with some rebellious choices.
Yeah. Kind of like a Firefly-esque, like, okay, they're good guys, but they're not always being nice.
Yeah. All right, we have another question here from Ridley Crade 187. When is your birthday? And it is June 13.
Mine is someday in March, around pretty much the first day of spring.
All right. 8-Bit Die asks, have you watched Gurren Lagann, Cowboy Bebop, and Miraculous Ladybugs? Opinions. I've seen Gurren Lagann. It is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. I've seen Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but it's very, very good. It's a classic. You gotta watch Cowboy Bebop. I've never even heard of Miraculous Ladybug.
It's a new show. I believe it's on Nickelodeon. Christina V voices the main character.
Oh, really?
It's about a Ladybug-themed superhero. I haven't actually watched any of it, but I've heard it's reasonably good.
Okay.
For the other two, Gurren Lagann, like it. Cowboy Bebop, own it.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Favorite movie. My favorite movie is Blues Brothers. That's a classic for me. Absolutely love it.
I don't know. The first Avengers for recent stuff. Serenity for I Just Like the World.
Oh, yeah.
Not Happy Gilmore. What's the one with the golfing?
Oh, Happy Madison.
Caddyshack.
Oh, gosh, what am I thinking? Yeah. Caddyshack. Caddyshack's a classic, too. I forgot to mention, that was another question from 8-Bit Die. I was just reading it down. I meant to go on to if another person had a second question. Let's see here. Bobby Lopez asks, how do you feel about Gino's chances in Smash now that we know Sakurai has seriously considered adding him in the past? Probably on the low side still, because that is still out of an agreement with Square Enix, and I feel like the addition of Cloud was a compromise on that part.
Which, it does show that they're at least talking.
Right. So Gino would be like the next step beyond that, maybe. I don't know what kind of negotiations they have to make with Square Enix, but I gotta imagine that Gino is not a prospective choice for Square Enix. Because they're not gonna do anything with Gino.
Well,
what do they have to gain from having him in Smash Brothers?
I wonder what the money going back and forth for that is. Who gets money out of that?
Yeah, so...
Because if Square Enix can just get money by saying, yes, you can have this character for a game, why not do that?
Right, so it's really hard to place because it depends, I think, more on the business aspect rather than the fan demand aspect.
Yep.
So it's hard to place that. Magticon asks, have you tried Pokemon Go? And the answer is yes, I've tried it. I'm not as into it as you and your group of friends yet.
Yeah.
I've played around on it a little bit. I got a Squirtle and I got my best thing's a Venonat right now that has just a challenge rating of 44. So I've only played it as like a social thing. Like, oh, Rosie and Taylor are out doing Pokemon Go, I'll join them.
Yeah, back at home we have a group of 6 friends who just walk around our lake and just catch stuff in Pokestops.
Yeah.
Which it's pretty much a social thing. We're just wandering around and talking and catching Pokemon as we go. It's a good reason to get outside.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to do it as a social thing. Let's see here. Ultra Caden asks, if you could pick any Pokemon to be in Smash purely off of moveset, who would you pick?
I would pick Blaziken.
Blaziken purely off of moveset?
There's a lot of fighting moves there. There's a lot of fire moves there. You've got Brave Bird for some or Sky Uppercut for a recovery move. You've got all of the different physical punches.
Yeah. I would go with... Okay, I have two answers. Answer number one is Hawlucha.
Yeah, it's a wrestler.
Gives you flying press. That's already unique.
Yep.
Second one. I know this is going to sound stupid, but cosplay Pikachu.
Yeah.
Where each special move is just
just
a different
costume.
Up B, flying press. You know, it's
Yeah.
down B, electric terrain. But I mean, I know it's kind of like, okay, well, we already have Pikachu. Why do you need another Pikachu? But Pocket Tournament did it.
True. Also, we have Link and Young Link. It's a different Pikachu. Just take out Jigglypuff.
And with that, we're actually a little bit over time. So thank you for asking your questions. If I didn't get to your question, please just re-ask it. Ask any new questions you might have. Thank you for joining me today, Rune.
Yep, maybe I'll be back for another one of these in the far future.
In the far future. Until then, see ya.
Bye.